So here we start our session. This is a question and answer session. This is for those who are with us for different courses. So this is a session for those who are registered with us. We are taking a question and answer session from those who have given us the questions. Now let us see what the first question is. Jyoti, give me the phone. So we are taking questions now. Now we will take today question, and the question number first is, so this is where I am taking it from. I am taking it from our groups because people are posting these questions over there. So let me go to the group. So Dr. Kirti Agarwal. Dr. Kirti Agarwal is posting a question. She is probably registered with us for gynae ultrasound, and physics and machine settings have been completed. This is the software where from I am getting the things. So Dr. Kirti Agarwal is posting question, why does it appear ecogenic in proliferative phase in retroverted uterus? This is as if the question is posted. I am reading the question from her post. So the point is that Dr. Kirti wants to know that in case of a retroverted uterus, why she is not able to see a triple line endometrium when uterus is actually having a triple line endometrium. But in case of a retroverted uterus, if she is using a transabdominal probe, she is not getting a triple line endometrium. She is getting a hazy or irregular shaped endometrium, but not a clear endometrium triple line. When she is inserting the probe, she is getting the triple line endometrium. Now the question, I am summing up the question from Dr. Kirti Agarwal, is that why in case of a retroverted uterus, she is not able to see a very clear endometrium? Very relevant question. I am very happy that you are understanding now things. So I am again repeating, this is not a course what we will be taking over here. We are taking the question and answer session, and this is for those who are registered with us for different courses. Now Dr. Kirti and others, pay attention. Physics plays a role over here. I am time and again stating that please and have a basic understanding of physics and machine settings. If you are not aware of a basic physics, you are like a blind person going on the road. It is an example. Now the things are applicable. Now see how the physics is applicable over here. Whenever I am putting probe, Jyoti, coming. Whenever I am putting probe, I will not show you patients over here because the patients, the theory, the detailed anatomy, the detailed physics is already taken with you. And if it is not completed yet, I will request you to complete the topic first. Okay. Now, when I am putting a probe over here and I am hitting any target, and if the target is at 90 degree, if the target is at 90 degree, when beam is hitting a 90 degree target, the things are very, very clear. But if the target is not at 90 degree, now pay attention, if the target is not at 90 degree, the beam cannot hit it by 90 degree. It is making an angle over here. So this angle is not 90 degree, is not 90 degree. But when you are hitting this target, this is getting hit by 90 degree. Now, whatever will be hitting by 90 degree, it will be very clear. This is the rule of ultrasound. So make each and every effort to hit the target by 90 degree. Now coming to the question. Now in case of a normal uterus, what I mean by normal, if it is not a retroverted uterus, this is bladder over here, this urinary bladder, and this is the uterus. Now when beam is hitting, this beam, for example, the transducer is this way. The beam is hitting the endometrium. Now pay attention. The beam is hitting the endometrium by a good angle. By a good angle. The beam is hitting this endometrium by a good angle. But now see, this is the angle. This beam is hitting the endometrium by a good angle. Good angle means about a 90 degree. Oh, sorry. Yeah, about a 90 degree. But if this uterus is going this way, it means that if it is a retroverted uterus, and in this retroverted uterus, I am having the endometrium this way. Now let me take this retroverted uterus and I will draw it again on the next slide. Now in case of a retroverted uterus, this is the retroverted uterus. How the endometrium is, this is like this. Where is bladder? Bladder is on the top, it is over here. And you are hitting, now pay attention, you are hitting, Jyoti. Now you are hitting this endometrium. This endometrium will be seen. But what about this part of the endometrium? What about this part of the endometrium? What about this part of endometrium? So the point is that this endometrium is not hit by 90 degree. Not by 90 degree. That is why you will not see a clarity of the endometrium over here. You will not see very clear endometrium. And if you are not able to see a very clear endometrium, how can you expect a lines to come over there? So if there are 3 lines and this is not getting hit by 90 degree, how will you expect the image to come? Not clear, because it is not hit by 90 degree. That is why I'm very sorry. Why I'm sorry? My explanation is very, very lengthy always, because I want to get the things very clear. Now, when you are hitting the endometrium, in case of a retroverted uterus, the endometrium is also tilted so that the beam is not getting hit by 90 degree. That is why you are not able to see the triple line endometrium in case of a retroverted uterus. And when you are inserting the probe, you are getting the things clear. So this is the point over here. Now I will add another point. If gestational sac or any polyp or any abnormality will be over here in case of a retroverted uterus, will you see this abnormality clear? No. That is why you may miss the abnormality in case of a retroverted uterus if you are using a transabdominal probe. Now, one more point. There are multiple points. Now see how the physics is playing the role over here. Now this part of the uterus, I will say not only endometrium, but this part of the whole of the uterus will not be clearly seen. And if patient is obese and you are using a transabdominal probe and uterus is retroverted, believe me, in some cases you will not able to see the contours of this uterus over here, and it will look like a mass over here, a hazy mass over here, and you will overdiagnose the case. So now see the importance of knowing the physics. So coming back to the first thing, that you have to hit by 90 degree. You have to try to hit any target by 90 degree. So 90 degree is a good angle, and less than 90 degree is very bad angle for a gray scale. But the physics, this 90 degree, very good here, is worst if you are using color Doppler. So color Doppler we will discuss some other day. You have not touched the color Doppler, but I am adding the thing over here. If you will use this 90 degree for a color Doppler, you will not see a flow in the color, because here the physics is again applicable. Here you are not using a static, you are not scanning a static but a moving thing, and here the angle of inclination should be less than 60 degree, which is the Doppler part. So I hope that I have answered your question. So now let me take one more question. So I'm scrolling the groups to get the question. So I'm having multiple questions over here. I will try to take 2-3 questions, and rest we will take in next interactive session, maybe day after tomorrow or tomorrow. We will let you know, no issue. So let me scroll to the Dr. Kirti Agarwal is posting the question, how to differentiate ovarian abscess from endometrial cyst. So probably that is the same person who is posting. Okay, Dr. Kirti Agarwal, the question is how to differentiate an ovarian abscess from an endometriosis, endometriotic cyst. Okay. So the question is how to differentiate ovarian abscess. I will write it very short. Ovarian abscess from endometriotic cyst. Yeah. In case anybody wants to interact with me, please raise your hand. Not the physical hand, the digital hand is over there. You have to raise the digital hand, and once you will raise the digital hand, we will unmute your system and we will discuss one-to-one. So raise the digital hand, but make sure that there is no background noise. And only those who are registered with us will raise the digital hand, because this is the session for the registered candidates for any questions while they are undergoing the course. So do we have any hands raised? Yes, no? So, okay. Yeah, do it. So, Dr. Deepak, we have sent you unmute invitation. So, accept the unmute invitation. Dr. Deepak.
Sir.
Tell me one thing. If there is an endometriotic cyst, if there is an endometriotic cyst, endometriosis, okay, what will be the pain like? What will be the nature of the pain in case of endometriosis? Dr. Kirti, this is how we will differentiate the endometriotic cyst from an ovarian abscess. Dr. Deepak, in case of endometriosis, how the pain will be?
It sometimes excruciating, crushing time pain sometimes feels, sir.
Will it be cyclic? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. It is cyclic, sir.
Yes. So point number 1, the pain cyclic. What I mean by cyclic, it is related with the menstrual cycle.
Yes,
because this endometriotic patch is nothing but endometriosis, which is already discussed with you in the class, that it is the ectopic implanted endometriosis. Dr. Deepak, am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, whenever endometrium will shed, it will also shed. Whenever endometrium, normal endometrium will increase in size, this will also increase. So the point is, this endometriotic cyst is hormonally related with the endometrium. That is why the pain will be cyclic over here. Dr. Deepak,
yes, sir.
Will
Right.
ovarian abscess have a cyclic pain? Yes or no?
No, sir. No, sir.
No. Now see, not only knowing the things that this is that, this is this, you should know why. Because in case of an ovarian abscess, this is an infection. This is not an endometrium over here, which will be hormonally related. So first of all, the pain. Here you will not see cyclic, and here you will expect a cyclic pain. Now, Dr. Deepak, endometriotic cyst. If there is implant onto the right ovary, are there high chances to have another ovary also infected? I am not using word always. I am using high chances. So will it be unilateral or it is going more towards bilateral? It is often
Towards
bilateral.
bilateral, sir.
Often, I am using word often. About a 50-60%, not always. So now, if it is ovarian abscess, it will unlikely be bilateral.
Yes.
So cross on
Yes.
bilateral, but bilateral is going in favor of not diagnosing, going in favor of endometriotic cyst.
Yes.
Now, Dr. Deepak, you're a radiologist, you should know endometriotic cyst will change its ecotexture as the cycle is going ahead. I mean, in case of proliferatory phase, the ecogenicity rather, will be something different what I will see in a excretory phase. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It will
Yes.
change, sir.
So in case of endometriotic cyst, the ecotexture, sorry,
Yes.
ecogenicity as well as ecotexture will dramatically change.
Yes.
With the phase of cycle, mind my words, with the phase of cycle, it will change, and it can change from anechoic to hyperechoic, or from hyperechoic to anechoic, depending on the blood, how old the blood is. Because here, what is pooling in this cyst is the blood, menstrual blood, because this is endometriosis. Dr. Deepak, am I right?
Yes, sir.
Now, in case of an ovarian abscess, how the ecogenicity will change if it is resolving? How it will change? Will it change from anechoic to hyperechoic, or from hyperechoic to anechoic?
Anechoic to hyperechoic, sir.
No, vice versa. Hyperechoic to anechoic if it is resolving. This is
yes,
abscess.
sir. Resolve, right, right, sir.
Yes. So here will be a different pattern of this ecogenicity, and that will depend on the phase of resolving. If it is resolving, then the ecogenicity will drop or increase.
Because it will drop, sir, slowly.
Yeah, it has to drop. So the dropping ecogenicity is going in favor of abscess, and sometimes increasing or sometimes decreasing. Varying ecogenicity, I mean, is going in favor of endometriotic cyst. Now coming to the clinical thing, fever. Where will you expect fever, Dr. Deepak?
In case of abscess, sir.
Or endometriotic cyst?
Abscessal fever, sir.
Very good. Now this is what I told you. You are not photographers when you are doing ultrasound. You have to play with all of your active neurons. So this is how we are differentiating, and we can differentiate the ovarian abscess from an endometriotic cyst. Dr. Deepak, do you have any question regarding this point? Whatever we are discussing, ovarian abscess and endometriotic cyst. Yes or no?
Yes, my doubt is clear, sir.
Okay. Now let me discuss with the okay, you be online with you only the third question. So I will be discussing also, and I will be replying to the questions also. But please, again, make a note. This session is for those who are already doing our course, or are undergoing our course, or have completed our course, because the theory, the practicals, the patients we are showing in our courses. This is merely a question and answer session only. Okay. Now, the question, let me go to the question. So there are many questions today. I will take this will be the Last question, okay? The third one. Others, I am not skipping it. I am keeping that for next session, maybe tomorrow, maybe day after tomorrow. You will get an update. Dr. Amin, what are the facts about fatty liver grade 1 to grade 3rd, 4th, or we can simply say fatty infiltrations of liver? Does it have any relationship with the visualization of the hepatic vessels? Kindly elaborate. So this is how we are getting these questions. Okay, so this is the question from Dr. Amin. Now, Dr. Amin, first of all, is not very clear about the grading, whether it starts from 0 or whether it starts from 1. I mean, whether it is ending on 3rd or whether it is ending on 4th. Dr. Deepak, you are a radiologist. Tell me the grading of the fatty liver grade. What is grade 0 of liver? Is there anything grade 0? Yes or no? Dr. Deepak, you there or not? Okay, next person, please raise the hand. See the hands. So I will continue. You people keep on joining because maybe that his audio has dropped due to some reason, or technical staff is seeing to that. So grade 0 of liver means that liver, this is liver. Jyoti. Dr. Pankaj.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Is there anything grade 0 of liver? Yes or no? Yes or no? I may be right, I may be wrong. Yes or no?
So we use very less for this. I don't use that thing, but that can be said for normal liver.
Very good. We are usually not using a grade 0 because this grade 0 is normal liver. Normal liver. Now, Dr. Pankaj, what is non-normal liver? I mean, what echogenicity, which echogenicity is normal for the liver?
That is, sir, we can compare it with the kidney, sir, actually.
Kidney, which part of kidney?
Echogenic as compared
which
to.
Which part of kidney?
As compared to cortex.
Cortex, very good. Now see, when we are comparing the echogenicity of this cortex with the liver, if it is equal or decreased, make a note, this thing is very detailed, discussed in your course, but as you have posed the question, I have to give a small brief answer. If liver is, now see, if liver is equal or less echogenic, slightly less echogenic than this cortex, that is grade 0, which is normal. Now, what is normal? You know now. That is grade 0. And we don't use this grade 0 because this is normal. Now, Dr. Pankaj, what is grade 1? What is grade 1 fatty liver? And one more part of the question is that can we use fatty infiltrations of liver? Again, by Dr. Amin. No, fatty infiltrations, you should not use the fatty infiltration. You should use the fatty liver. Dr. Pankaj, what is a grade 1st liver? Okay, probably your audio has also dropped. We will try to reconnect you. Jyoti, keep an eye. Now, grade 1 fatty liver is when the liver echogenicity, now see, when liver echogenicity is more than the cortex, that is grade 1. Now, grade 2nd and grade 3rd, I will take it on a separate slide. Now, when you are seeing to the liver, when you are scanning the liver, you are having the portal veins also, and you are having the hepatic veins also. And here you are having a diaphragm. Now, if it is grade 1, now see, if it is grade 1, I will be seeing these vessels. So vessels plus. I will be seeing what I mean by plus. It will be clearly seen, very clearly visualized vessels, as well as the diaphragm. So diaphragm also plus. What I mean by plus, it is clearly seen. So if I am clearly seeing the diaphragm, beneath diaphragm, and I am clearly seeing the vessels, it means I am dealing with grade 1 fatty liver. Now grade second. Grade second is when I am not seeing these vessels clearly, it is plus minus, and the part of the diaphragm is also not seen. Why it is not seen? This is discussed in the physics, because the echogenicity of the liver is increased. If the echogenicity of the liver is increased, the beam cannot penetrate in. So a part of this diaphragm will remain unresolved. That will be grade second. And in grade third, I will not see a diaphragm over here, and I will not see these vessels, or I will see very hazy vessels over here, and I will not well appreciate this diaphragm, because now the echogenicity of the liver is very high and the beam is not able to penetrate in, and this part of the liver can remain non-scannable due to the increased ecotexture and due to the attenuation of the beam. So I hope that I have answered your question. So this was about today's session, and we will see you in the next session, and you will get an update of our next interactive session. Again, repeating, this is not for the this is not a course over here what we are taking. This is the question and answer session. So this was all for now. See you in next session. So repeating again that this is not the course which we are taking right now. We are taking the question and answer session, and for those who are registered with us for our courses. Thank you very much. See you soon. God bless all of you. Thank you.